What's happening, man? Um, I kind of just am taking the opportunity to talk. I mean, I have a couple things that I have in mind, um, but I'm kind of hoping to chop it up with somebody. But we'll see. It's really early in the morning where I'm at, which is deceptive because it's not really early in the morning where a lot of you are. So we'll see, I guess. Um, I think one of the main things I want to talk about is it kind of ties into the research that I've been doing with both the Phoenix events, interdimensional, or I keep saying that because it's stuck. It's stuck in there. Uh, Ultra terrestrial beings and how to decipher the difference between these ultra terrestrial beings that I do still believe exist. That's one of the main divergences that is going on between my work and the dude from Archaics, Jason Brashears. And let me say, I wasn't gonna say this, but I'm gonna reference the dude, so I'm gonna say this. Some people have come to me and said, be careful with that dude and so on and so forth because he has a past and things like that. And here's what I'll say to that. If you have, I'll just say it. I'm not going to say if you have. So I've been to prison. I've talked about it multiple times on my channel, but I've also prefaced the fact that I was kidnapped, if speaking in technical terms. This system, it doesn't make sense for so many of the beings that are within these circles to have these like hardwired dualities. Like many of us are like, fuck the system, the system's broken, the system is unjust. And then as soon as you see someone has been to prison, or as soon as you see someone has a potential past that you don't understand, or that you've been given information by those that are monetizing it, because most of the here, look at this evidence that I was given were YouTubers who don't like the dude for one reason or another and call him a grifter and stuff. I don't know enough to know if he's a grifter. Doesn't seem like that to me. It seems very much like he's just trying to make a living out of a very fucked up situation. Doesn't matter what you go to prison for. When you're let out, you're either on parole, where they drain you of your resources and your capability to take care of yourself, both monetarily and, like I said, resource-wise. Or, if you're in a very specific situation like me, where they can see that they can't necessarily manipulate you into giving up, but they do want to make sure that there's no recourse on your end, meaning like suing and shit like that, then they'll release you and not put you on supervision and paperwork, which means a parole officer and fees and shit like that, right? It's very difficult to try to make a living, generally speaking. And so the dude has put a lot of research in. He's written books. I don't see him. He does do classes and shit, and I'm not really into it when people do that. I kind of think the information and history and all that stuff that's meant for our family should just be, provided. But I also think that within that, the beings that benefit from that should help those that are trying to put stuff out. That's what I think it should be in a perfect world. We don't live in a perfect world, so, you see various versions of that. But mainly what I'm saying is I understand that, there's some stuff to the dude's past. And, being from a prison mindset and trying to not necessarily get rid of that, because then I would have to get rid of the many, progressions that came from that. I transmuted a lot of that into positive. They didn't, they don't want you to be able to do that. They want you to come out and be broken so that you can, now be a real criminal instead of, continue to be the regular person that you were when they kidnapped you. And I didn't do that, and I'm not going to do that. Just because you kidnapped me and put me in a situation that takes away a lot of aspects of your personage and your, humanity, that doesn't mean you have to let it take that from you forever. When you get out, you can bring those aspects back to you, and they can be, far more powerful than they were before you were kidnapped, and I say that to say I don't know what's up with the dude's actual situation. I don't know what the specifics of that were. I do know that what was brought to me was a very different story than what I found on official paperwork. And so what I'll say is, if we were all in prison, me, the Jason Brashears dude, and the person that brought that to me, the person that brought that to me would have gotten fucked up for that. You can't call someone specific names or put specific charges on people and then not have the paperwork to show that that's what that was. And so, while I understand, that this community is just as like gossipy and all that other shit that other communities can be, I just personally, I don't work like that. And so if I had to say how I feel about, referencing his research and utilizing the knowledge that he has compiled, I'm going to keep using that, because I have what I consider to be a mission. I'm doing something. And so I don't necessarily have to agree with everything about every specific being who I reference or whose work gives me a leg up. It's definitely circumstantial. It's definitely case by case and situation by situation. And so within that, there are some that have different views, and it seems very much like, there's a lot of personal stuff that goes into a lot of those beings that are making those YouTube videos about dude and all that. That's not my business. That's not my business. I'm doing a thing, and if that research helps me, then I'm going to use that research. Anyway, so the main differences in the divergence between his work and my work is that I do still believe very much in ultra-terrestrial influences in this realm. And I'm not sure that that's a divergence. I kind of think that maybe he does understand that is somewhat possible, because he refers to us as immortals. So he does, understand that there is a metaphysical aspect to this. And I agree that much of what we have applied or viewed as metaphysical is actually physical. It's just humans that have that understand what this place is much better than we do. And so I came across a lot of aspects of his work where he talks about how much of what we are attributing to aliens and UFOs and possibly some fantasy based kind of stuff also is a combination of those other humans, and they may have, to me, unthrottled DNA. I think there's a good possibility that they don't have the Timir caps. I keep forgetting how to say it. The caps on the DNA. I've been doing a lot of listening and reading, so my brain is fragged right now. I think there's a good chance that there is, if not a faction of them that don't have the caps on their DNA. They all might not have the caps on their DNA down there. And they might have some beings up here that are meant to observe, or meant to manage us, meant to influence, you know, the entertainment people and shit like that. And that can explain a lot of the hocus pocus spooky shit that everybody's afraid of with the Illuminatis and the fucking, you know, secret societies and the things that we see them do, and the things that they have happened to them that we can't explain. You know, there's beings talk about shape-shifting and, you know, that weirdo first lady spitting that shit into the glass of water. The things that they do in rituals and stuff like that, I think that would explain a good bit of that. But it's definitely it's definitely complex. It's very complex. What I do know, though, and I do agree with him on, is that as a society, as a civilization, we are vastly confused, and that's intentional. We're being given information, and information is being pushed to confuse and to keep us off track from figuring out what the fuck is actually going on. And, you know, that's another thing that I'll say about dude. I'm not going to keep talking about him, but fact of the matter is, you know, if those things are true, then that can be dealt with later. The fact of the matter is, he's trying to do a specific thing now that I see as good. We have a very, very fucked up situation that we're dealing with, and it is coming to a head. If you can't see these rich fucks selling off all their shit and getting ready to dip and essentially abandon us up here while they go down there and wait, as they've done in the past. That's what my 1902 video, one of the things that it was referencing in that video is that's cyclical. That this isn't the first time that they sell off all their shit and make bunkers, right? So they're doing that again, and they're doing it early. So that's another divergence. I talked about it in the last video, but I'm going to repeat that a good bit because I think that needs to like really set in for many that give too much credence to these cycles. Just because the cycles have worked like that in the past does not mean it has to continue to work like that. It also doesn't mean that I'm correct. But from my view, them preparing now is way too early for the date of execution of that, you know, plan of that event to be in 2040. I just don't see that being the case. And many other beings within these circles have said that they have contextual evidence that 2024 or 2025, those years have significance. And the fact that they are preparing and have been preparing, from my view, since 2020, they've been preparing since 2020. To me, that indicates and denotes a sooner date. It means a sooner date. So whether that is the actual event or a warm-up reset or some shit like that, who knows? Because this could be a special one. This could be a special one. It could be the big one. We don't know. But I think it's important to not ignore the signs just because the math points to a much later date. And what's the harm in recognizing, preparing, and potentially doing something sooner than 2040? Why would we wait until right before the thing to try to like understand and be prepared for the thing? You know, I don't see the downside in getting it cracking right now. You know what I mean? And I'll say this, even though I feel like it's fallen on in totality on deaf ears. Not saying this toward you all, but we need to stop participating. I really, really, really feel like everyone needs to stop participating in the system that we all say is broken and fake and all this other shit. I know that that's daunting. I know that there are a lot of moving parts to that don't really make sense, and it feels like we need to do all this planning and shit. And I agree to an extent. But the more that we sit around and like argue about what that looks like and how to, how to initiate that, how to execute that, the longer that they are, able to continue to pump out distractions and keep you from doing what's necessary. Like, I don't like putting a lot of focus on the system and shit like that, because it is all fake to me. It is all fucked up. But at the same time, we are existing in it. So if you look at, for instance, the economy, it's not just being called inflation; it's being called shrinkflation, because there is another aspect to it. They're imposing inflation on you twice. So you're paying more, but you're paying more for less. So they're charging you more money for less shit. They're providing less service for you for more money. Like, it's in everything. If you want to look at it from another perspective other than food, and this one's more of a sanity type thing to, some of us, for leisure and shit like that. Look at all these apps. These streaming apps are all charging you a lot more money, and they're putting these fucking weird ads in. So you're paying more money just for the app in general, and then they're all saying, hey, look, you're going to get commercials back now. They're back. But you can pay us even more than you're paying, and we'll take those ads back. That's it's blanketing everything. Everything you can think of, clothes, everything is costing more, just because. It's not because it has to be that, it's just because. Which affects everything. Even those that have their own companies or own businesses, say they have a clothing company or something like that, they're having to charge a little bit more potentially because the materials cost more. So this is affecting everything. And to me, it just kind of makes me wonder, what do they need to do to us for everyone to snap out of it and maybe start looking around at those of us that have been talking like this for a long time, whether it's publicly, like on these videos, or just in life. Many of us have spoken to the others, whatever you want to call them, and we end up doing these monologues and trying to get them to see with real sincere and genuine passion, like, hey, this is what's going on, and many times we get shrugged off. Maybe you hear some of the things that we say and you think that we should put on a tinfoil hat or be put in a hospital or some shit, but you don't ever talk about the many, 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 many times that we're right. We're right pretty regularly. And you just move on to the next thing that you don't believe. So, I would just say that. And someone said that they were showing their family portions of my videos to try to get them to understand. I support that. Even if it's not from me, whoever seems to make the most sense to you with talking like this, show them to your friends, show them to your family, because until we can get the numbers that can actually affect change, we're just, walking in circles. We're just walking in circles. That was a huge digression, but necessary, I think. Anyway, so I think that a big point of contention is that it very much to me seems like, Brashears and others' research that points to subterranean activity more than, some kind of cosmic space shit. I concur with that completely. I don't know what's up there. I don't know what that is. I don't know what's past the firmament. And I think that is obviously intentional. But what I can say is that it seems very much like the things that we do see up there are illusion. They're illusion based. That there's a clip with the hand brushing over the surface of the waters of a star. That is very potentially a reflection. Basically a light trick. And We don't know how that up there works, but what we do know is you can't get through it. They very much want you to believe that you can get through it, but there's no actual evidence of that. If you really think hard, do you have evidence of them going past that? Because you don't. Anytime someone tries to say, oh, well, they do, space has been proven because of this or this, there's always a leap. There's always a jump that you're asking me to take that I'm not willing to take. Just because you see a launch of some satellites and then later on you get pictures or film from Mars, or you get pictures or film from, the James Webb or the Hubble, that doesn't mean shit. You don't have proof that they actually made it past the firmament and that those pictures are from past the firmament. You just have context, space, and then context. And so as a researcher, I'm doing my best to not only be as objective as possible when necessary, because there is some discernment involved, but I'm also trying to sharpen that. I'm trying to sharpen that to a level where the indoctrination that's been planted does not hinder me anymore. And so until someone can show me some sort of proof of these things, like there not being a firmament, or them being able to get something past the firmament, or showing an actual bit of evidence that we are on a heliocentric realm versus some sort of other kind. I don't know. I'm not going to say flat. I will say hollow to a sense, but then we don't even know it's that. There are civilizations where their depiction of what we are on was a stacking realms of they would call them dimensions, but I think they're physical potentially, and that's not what I truly believe. But I do think that there's a good possibility that just you could go down from where we are and end up in a place that looks like this, including the sky. It's not to say, and that the stories say that, so I'm not like blowing anyone's mind with that, but where I think the confusion may be is that when those beings say that, I think many people envision like a very, very vast hollow realm where there is a sun, but it looks like a cave or some shit. That's possible and looks cool in my imagination. Looks really cool. I'd like to see some different shit, and I think that's why people believe this. Why beings believe this, because it would be fascinating and interesting and wondrous. But you may very well also go down, and once you go down far enough, you may end up on a realm that ends up looking just like this, in a way, if not exactly. A ground level with an atmosphere that it looks different than the ground level. That's not out of the realm of possibility if you can suspend the indoctrinations and brainwashing and social engineering that we go through our entire lives. That's why some of us are doing research like this, because it's like we have to sift through so much bullshit just to get corroborating evidence that at least makes it more likely. And I mean, it's on another level, these events that happen have happened every 138 years. It's terraforming. And the fact of it is, there's also indication that if it's in the script, they'll, come plant a disease like the plague. There were supposedly, if I'm not mistaken, accounts of meat being dropped from the sky before the Black Plague. These things don't get publicized as much, but they are there to find. You can find that shit. And so, in my opinion, we know very little as an overall society or as an overall civilization, but there is more information there to be had. They haven't completely gotten rid of it. They just make it to where you don't care to go find it or you don't care to look for it. And that's kind of the stuff I'm more focusing on right now. Because it's the natural progression of my research. My research it started off as, what is this place? I noticed that it's not what I have been made to believe. I've noticed that it doesn't work the way that I'm told it works. I've noticed that you're asked to worship beings that are pieces of shit, and they're directly in contradiction to what they say they are and what they tell their followers to believe. So, started off there, and it's changed vastly. Not completely, but it's changed a lot. I think that there's a limitation to what we'll be able to confirm. There are questions that I don't think we'll get answers to until we really square up on them. Until we fucking square up on them and they can see that we're not just pondering shit to each other and making these fucking shows, we're not going to get real answers, because it's like watching your farm animals, talk to each other. They don't give a fuck if we do that. They don't care if we do that. Now, what they do care about is if we start to build a literal or proverbial Tower of Babel. That's why I brought that up, because what I'm considering is that to get real answers, to get real change, to affect our own change instead of having it affected on us and being misled and kind of like conned, because essentially that's what keeps happening. We affect our own change by like I said, either a figurative or physical Tower of Babel. Like, essentially what happens every 138 years is calamity, and then they come back up top, and then they give you shit. Like, oh, don't worry about that. Here's this technology, though. Aren't you med beds, right? Med beds, everybody. And that's fucked up to me. I don't accept that. I don't like that. It's not to say that, that technology won't be useful and that we shouldn't use it, because you got to use what you're given, You would be foolish to say, because of my viewing you as disagreeable, I'm not going to use these technologies. They're going to take over anyway, right? But using those technologies doesn't mean that you sit back and say, oh, well, I guess they are kind of nice sometimes to us. I guess they do provide us with some shit sometimes. It doesn't have to be like this. It doesn't have to be like this. And it doesn't have to mean that every time someone speaks like this or takes it upon themselves to come up with their own technology, or, becomes a real actual whistleblower instead of a fucking weirdo agent of chaos pushing bullshit, that they get murdered. It doesn't have to be that. And you don't have to be scared of that either. Like, I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid. I don't care. And not just the being murdered part, like, prison has been inflicted on me. I don't give a fuck, dude. Like, I'm tired. When I say I'm tired, I'm actually tired. I'm not just like, it's not a performative thing that I'm saying to like, to have a hook in my videos or some shit. I didn't even start doing these videos for that type of purpose. I'm tired of this. Just in totality. And so that gives me an extra drive. It is my drive for my research, for my words, for my actions, for my inactions. And I think the more of us that understand that we can believe different shit, we can perceive this place differently and still get shit fucking done. We can still get stuff done if we at least understand whatever is going on. There are aspects of it that we understand, or that, better yet, that we don't understand, but that we can investigate and look into so that we know more, at least. The oceans don't get explored, and they have no interest in doing it after what they have explored. They've explored sometimes and then came back up and immediately started nuking the ocean. They started bombing the ocean. What the fuck does that mean? Then, more recently, they've gone on secret missions and more weird shit happens. Like a very recent, I think it was naval or marine mission, where they were looking for a very specific cave. They found that specific cave. Very, very large cave. Supposedly something bumps against a wall, opens it up, they hear a roar, and an earthquake happens. And, now people are talking about fucking Cthulhu. People are talking about Cthulhu. And my point is not that that story is true. My point is, why the fuck are they telling you that story? Why the fuck are they saying shit like that without providing you any evidence of this? They film everything. Just like cops have lapel cams, they film everything they do. So where is that? Don't tell me the fucking story. Where is that? Where's the film of that? Otherwise, shut up. I don't give a fuck about that. And no one else should really give a fuck unless you provide evidentiary backup to that. And not just video either, because video is really not that, it's not that substantial anymore. What I'm saying, I guess, is that there are very real things that we could be doing instead of bickering back and forth and trying to throw shit on people's names and just all this dumb shit. This is coming to a head, and we're still. I see us in totality doing the same shit that we were doing 15, 20 years ago. That doesn't make any sense, and it's not a good sign for how we're going to handle what is very plainly being shown to us. There was another being that kind of was referencing, I think, either my video specifically or, a grouping of beings that talk like me. And they were saying that they don't believe any of this shit's going to happen and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And my thing is, you cannot believe it as much as you like. There are many who have dead family members who are dead. There are many that have gone through very fucked up situations like Katrina, like what happened in Hawaii, that would look at you saying that and really want, to put hands on you. And I'm not trying to say that in an inflammatory way. I'm kind of just like, honestly, my mouth has just been going, if I'm honest. But that's true. That's probably true. They probably would want to put hands on you because that's what the fucking problem is. There are too many that sit back in their rooms or in their basement or whatever the fuck and just say, well, I don't believe in any of this. Well, then why are you here? Go hang out in other circles. The negativity spewing is not helping anything, I think that there's a difference between being frustrated with everyone ignoring everything all the time and beings that are just like unhappy with the types of people that they are. I'm not really conveying that very well, but I feel like, you maybe know who you are. I am talking directly to the couple of you that there are. If you have a problem with beings, then go fucking say something to them. Say something to them. Don't try to make a platform off of complaining about little shit all the time. Because there are very, very real situations beyond politics, beyond religions and all that shit that are going to affect all of us. They're already affecting all of us. I don't even understand how you could say, I don't believe in all these things when, like, fuck the earthquakes and all this other shit in other places that I think they probably are happening, but I don't know that. Fuck those, though. Not talking about that. The stuff that's close to you that has happened that you can confirm. That you can confirm. Like, train derailments all over your country. Earthquakes. Weird weather. Shit falling from the sky that's magnetic. Snow that you can ball up and set on fire. Like, you're talking shit about how blind everyone is and calling yourself a truther, but you're like those that you're making fun of. You don't believe anything that we're trying to tell you. You're one of those. You're one of those. You know? I don't even understand saying some of the things that those beings say publicly, because, like, the contradiction seems like some kind of weird delusion. I don't know. That shit's weird, but anyway, I guess this is kind of, this wasn't my intended direction, but I'm fucking tired, man. I'm doing all this research and I keep coming to more and more, like, contextual evidence of just bullshit in our future. And I'm not making predictions. I'm not using gematria or any kind of systems or anything like that. I'm going off of the fact that this is a cyclical system that we live in. Obviously, everything points to a cyclical system. Stories get retold over and over again. Events happen over and over again in different forms. Fashion is cyclical. Everything is cyclical. So to ignore that and say, oh, well, new shit's probably going to happen. We're probably going to be fine. They're going to come down from the stars and they're going to put us in their ships and take us to fucking Eden, bro. That's dumb. That's fucking stupid. They're killing you now. They're poisoning you now. Why would they do that and then be like, oh, we were just joking. We were just joshing you. Like, it doesn't make any sense, and I really feel like there's a lot of cognitive dissonance and delusion. Like, I get it. That's daunting shit. It is scary, kind of, I guess, for some. But you could either live in fear, or you can get rid of fear and say, you know what? I'm fucking mad now. And use that to accomplish things. But the problem is, those of us that have done that have gotten rid of fear and are angry or, you know, at the very least, curious. We just want to know what the fuck is happening and what the fuck this place is. Regardless to if it's either one of those, I can't do anything by myself. None of these researchers or whoever can do anything by themselves. Even if we got together, the few of us that talk like this, we still couldn't do anything by ourselves. We need, you know, a good bit of us. And it just seems like they really have succeeded in this weird paradigm where this place is fucking all of us, but many of you like it. Many of you like it. It is Stockholm Syndrome. Many of you have a very intense, very weird looking case of Stockholm Syndrome, and I don't know what to say or do to get more to understand that and to really take the time to say, okay, I see your point. Let me at least see what you got as far as evidence goes, and really look at it and understand that the entire framework of what many beings believe this place to be and have been in the past is 100% fake. 100% falsified. And also, not only that there are real accounts of shit that has happened that points to what will be occurring again, very likely sooner than what even those that study this shit and research this shit have kind of prophesied, you know? It's not going to be the same this time, or at the very least, they're gonna do like a bonus event. It's even if you you know, don't believe any of the shit I'm saying about history not being right or the ultra terrestrials and all this other shit I talk about, those like kind of base level truthers that talk about kids in cages and the FEMA shit all the time, does that sound fun to you? Is that why you're not really going past just like learning about it or hearing about it? Because that doesn't sound like something I want to do. So that would be enough to make me be like, hey, we need to fucking click up and get this shit cracking right now. But that's not happening. And there's little shit that can be done that doesn't have to be like physically clicking up and going and doing stuff that's probably going to get you hemmed up immediately. I'm saying the like smart shit. Like, I'll say it again. If everyone were to just stop participating, don't go to work, don't spend their money, just talk to your neighbors. All of us just talk to our neighbors and we figure this shit the fuck out. They're gonna keep, with the shrinkflation, they're gonna keep putting poisons in you and on you and in your kids and on your kids. Like, that's not going to stop. It's very likely, they're telling you actually, that it's going to be worse. They said it. They said it out of their own mouth. Disease X is coming and it's gonna be worse. Like, there's a bottom out of the dollar cut. They're telling you. I'm not even, this isn't conspiracy talk. I'm just paying attention. I'm listening and seeing. But the others are paying attention and seeing, but then like compartmentalizing it in their head like, yeah, I know it is coming. And then they go to work the next day and I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? I don't understand what's happening. You know? And none of this means I'm gonna get frustrated and stop my research or stop talking like this. But I do feel like I have to talk like this sometimes so that you not only understand why I do the research that I do, why I answer some of the things that you say to me the way that I answer them, because they may be confusing. Like that Jason Brashear shit, I've been to prison. We fuck up people that have charges like that in prison. We fuck them up. I have fucked people up for that. I'll be honest. Am I proud of that? Sort of. You know? Sort of. But at the same time, it feels, in matter of fact, the person that brought it to me, I said something trying to set up another thing to tell them, but they cut me off. I'll say this to you now. You think you want to put hands on people like that, or that you want to unalive them, as you said, it feels different than you think it does. After you come back to yourself and you see what you've done, or even within the moment as you're doing the thing, it feels a lot different than you think it does, and that's how I know you've never been in a fight. You've never been in a fight, you've never done something to someone that is not natural, that isn't intended. So, you know, all this stuff supersedes many things that we have come to attach to our being, and it's difficult, and some of it feels wrong or weird or whatever, but there is a goal that is at the forefront of all of this for me. And there are things that I'll have to like get past or get over, or not view the same way as I usually would. And it's because there is a goal at the forefront of this. I'm not going to fuck that goal up doing shit that I did 20 years ago. That's stupid. And, you know, I was trying not to do this, but I think I'm just kind of hot right now. But, like, you talked about how much older you are than me, but the way that you go about these things that you say and these positions that you have, they're immature. They're immature, and they're not progressive or useful. At least not in what I'm doing. So, I mean, that's kind of why I responded the way that I responded. I don't know, man. This wasn't not the intended direction of this talk, but there's too much shit in it for me to. I don't want to start this over. I'm not gonna. I'm not, dude. I'm so tired. I'm not. I am trying to be civil, and I'm trying to be like, I'm trying to be civil. I'm trying to be diplomatic, but at the same time, I'm fucking sick of some of the shit that I'm seeing. And so, You know, uh, I may come at some of these, I don't know, whatever, dude. I'm not gonna say what I am, and I'm just gonna do what I do, and that's just what it's gonna fucking be. Yeah, I think I'm gonna cut this and start a different one, but I'm still gonna post this because it's a thing, and less people will watch it, but that's fine. But I do ask you to share it with others, in person, but also share it on stuff because more beings need to be talking like this. More beings need to be fucking hot like this and angry and you know, frustrated. Why the fuck aren't we frustrated? I just see too many that are kind of going about their day-to-day like shit is stat quo, and it's not. This is not status quo. This is just the calm before the storm, and everyone's like, there's no storm. And that is lame. That's lame to me. You know? There's still lots of love. I still love everyone, but I think that's why I'm like this. That's why I'm so, like, you know, emotional with this, because I do love everybody and I want everybody to be okay, and I'm watching everyone not give a fuck if they're okay. And that, like, hurts me. It makes me upset, because as a whole, just letting them do this shit to us, with very little to no pushback. And we're powerful. We have capabilities. We have abilities. Why are we just sitting back and letting this shit be prepared in this way? They're telling us that they're doing these things just on the physical level, and then that doesn't even take into account the metaphysical and advanced technological shit that is also going to happen and is already happening. People are starting to another channel, you know, posted some of those patents. Good. More of us need to be posting these patents. Someone asked, hey, look, they're copying you. I don't give a fuck. You copy me too. Put up the patents. Post the patents. More need to know about this. This is not about, yes, I need money just like anybody else needs money, but I'm not getting any. And that's not the point of it. I need it to eat is essentially it. And to, you know, get others off my back about the work that I'm doing so they can shut the fuck up about the work that I'm doing. Outside of that, I don't give a fuck about money. I'm posting patents and shit not because I want to have a leg up on other channels like, oh, he's actually, look at his evidence. It's not about that. It's because I want you to fucking see the patents. I want you to understand that the shit that I'm saying is not made up. I'm not making this shit up. At the very least, even if they're faking, they want you to believe that they're doing that. But I will say, you know, magnetized particles out of the sky, burning snowballs. Like, they're not making it up. They are doing it. You just don't like the idea that they're doing it in your head. So you're compartmentalizing, or you're, you know, pretending that it's not happening. I don't know. There's some kind of weird disassociation that most are doing with a lot of this shit that is going to make things more difficult. It already is making things more difficult. So, I don't know. I'm going to end this and maybe try to talk about something positive. I love you, bye.